It's Offside with Hawes and McGuire.
Oh, that's our best
Oh,
yet.
that's the best yet.
Best yet.
That was the best yet. Welcome to Offside with Hawes and McGuire. I'm Hawes.
I'm McGuire.
So today it's this is our Halloween episode.
Yeah,
It's
got our
pretty
masks on.
We're pretty scary. As a matter of fact, I'm scared. I got to address this thing on my face here right away.
What's going on
Because so the other day, and it looks worse than it is, but I took a stick in the face.
Yeah.
And the sad part, I wasn't even playing hockey. It was just around the house.
Yeah.
No, I got it wasn't a bad one or anything like that, but just one of those abrasion type.
Do you
of
wear a
things, right?
visor?
I wear a visor, but
Yeah.
not a full mask. I am looking at this. Friend of mine has a cage that goes below the mask, so it's like it's a, I don't know what you'd call it, but it's all, it's not the greatest look in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. But it might save that and the because these are all caps, eh? These are
Yeah, I've got a couple caps as well.
So anyhow, that's what it is. And Cristin said, "Well, I could put some makeup on for you." I said, "Well, why don't I wear a dress too?" Right? So I'm not wearing makeup. Okay, I'm gonna start. It's an early start to November. That's what I was just doing. And I was gonna shave. I actually
didn't look that bad.
the first day I did it, I shaved. I tried in a cut open again because it's still healing.
Yeah.
And so and then I tried to not shave certain part of it, and then I looked like I had a Hitler mustache, which hasn't gone over well since the late 1940s.
Yeah.
It's been kind of
funny how that works.
Yeah, it was trendy for a while though.
Yeah.
Boy,
Yeah.
it was really trendy. But
Well.
not so much. Not so much. So that leads us to a very somber, and we hate to start the episode off with a sad note, but I also don't want to bury it further on in the episode where, you know what I mean? Like,
It's a good segue for a bad topic.
it is a good segue for a bad topic.
Yeah, sad topic.
So what we're talking about is the tragic. And I mean, there's only, like, there are things that people say, oh my God, that was a tragedy. This is tragic because it's a young man in the prime of his life playing a game that he loved, we're assuming, right? A game that he loved professionally in the UK. And those guys have it's a great league, eh? Like,
Well, the league's way better than it was. It's at the end of the day, you're going there to continue playing.
that's right.
Really, he's 29 years old. He was never drafted. Adam Johnson, we're talking about, of
Right.
course, and the tragic loss of life just a few short days ago, taking a skate to the throat. Just a gruesome, freakish, incredibly mind-numbing, sad, so sad for his family. And, I was thinking, Chris, we were talking about my good buddy Mike Byron and his son Blaine.
Right, yep.
Who's playing over in Europe right now in Berlin, who's just a year younger. He's a 95 birth. He's 28. Yeah. He actually was drafted by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Blaine was. Johnson signed as a free agent. He's a Minnesota native. Signed as a free agent. Played 13, 14, 15 games over a couple of seasons with the Penguins. Played mostly in their farm system.
Right.
And then embarked on this it's European adventure here in the UK.
Well,
like you say, they just continue playing, which so many have. So many from the Ottawa area.
Oh, yeah.
Over the years. Guy in my wedding party, Tim Salmon, was in the Guinness World Book of Records for how many pro points he had one season playing in the British League.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, this is an interesting thing. My and this is again another digression. I went to visit my aunt, who has now passed away, but this is about 2 years ago. She was staying in a convalescing home, and it was okay at this point. So it was in that window where you could actually visit somebody, right? So I went to visit her at this place where she was getting, and I was waiting for them to let me in. I have to wait in the lobby. You have to do all the testing and all that stuff, and there was this gentleman who was sitting there, and he was, probably certainly in his 80s, right? And he comes over and he starts talking to me, and he was extremely friendly. Well, this guy had played for the Detroit Red, and of course I can't remember his name to save my life.
Too bad.
He had played for the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah.
he was one of the first guys to go over to Europe from North America.
Okay.
Okay, and lived there for like 30 years.
Like to play.
To play.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is back in the 1950s that he left North America.
Oh yeah.
Right? And to go over there and play, and he goes, of course he met a lady, which keeps you, you know what I mean? That's what we do. We follow the scent. And we, you know, but, and he was telling me, he goes, he had a great career. He loved it. You know what I mean? And, and he was, at the time, there weren't a lot of Canadians or even North Americans at all playing in Europe. It was definitely a European league.
Yeah, in the 50s, there would have been less, obviously. As every decade went by, there were more. It was a massive influx in the 70s that went over. There's so many guys that were good hockey players, but man, if you couldn't drop the gloves in the 70s, you better be in the top percentile of talent. And
are you saying those European players don't like to fight, Don Cherry?
That's what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying, and especially then.
Yeah.
So it was. There was a lot of guys that went over. Good friends of mine, Peter Gaw, Eddie Hebert, so many that went over and had a career in European hockey somewhere, UK or wherever, Sweden, Switzerland, Germany, where Blaine Byron is now, as we're alluding to. So yeah, it's young Mr. Johnson here was doing something that countless hundreds upon hundreds have done, as you just said. This gentleman you met from the 1950s. Look, Great Britain won the gold medal in hockey in 1936, which is the biggest joke going because absolutely there's so much controversy surrounding it. But Great Britain does.
So what's the controversy?
Oh, there's so much, Chris. Look, Cole's note version. The rules changed basically on the fly in terms of allowing a round-robin score to count as a game score in the final for the gold medal. It had not been that way in 1924, 28, or 32. So they changed it in 36. That's number one. Number two, the entire Great Britain team was made up of Canadians.
Okay, well, good.
So,
that's good.
Yeah, so the controversy
we were still
no,
part of the Commonwealth.
Whatever. Anyways,
so what you're saying is Canada won.
Yes.
Okay.
We got the silver, but
so Canada lost to Great Britain, but the Great Britain team had a number of Canadians on it.
Yeah, the whole team was Canadian. Yeah. But it's in terms of the eligibility of everybody, some of those rules were broached as well. And in terms of how they comported the round robin portion of the tournament.
Hang on a second. What the hell is comported?
Well, put together, like the status of the tourney.
That's a word I'd never heard.
I like it every now and then. The writer in me comes out. I'm here to educate. I'm here to drink. I'm here to talk hockey.
Sorry, you were comporting.
Yes. So, it's and that may not even be the right actual term to use in this particular case, to be perfectly honest with you. Okay. But it sounded good.
It does sound good.
It sounded good. I'll throw it out every now and then.
And Lord knows I had no idea what it meant.
Well, you comport yourself quite well.
I'm comportly.
There we go. Anyway, the UK won the gold medal in 36, and they never should have. I'm still pissed off about it. We got a story of it in the book on Goldie because the guy on the Team Canada ended up going back to Hornpain and running the arena there, and he was one of the major influences on Goldie Goldthorpe in Northern Ontario.
Well, that's what you need. What you need is Goldie Goldthorpe being influenced by a bitter old man.
Yeah.
No wonder he turned out the way he did. Like, no offense. Yeah. I don't want to irk him in any way. No. I just want to say that. No. One of my most effective ones was Al Bundy.
Yes. Yeah. Well, he's a hero to many.
Well, he is a hero to many. Yeah. Let me put my hand in my pants there.
Yeah, there you go.
But the guy who played Ed O'Neill, who played him, he played in the NFL.
Did he actually get games?
Yes, he got games. He had games in the NFL. He was so I mean, you only think of him in a certain way, but a pretty versatile guy. Anyway, we digress.
Let's circle back and finish on Adam because
that's the important thing. You're really right.
It's a sad note, and just a couple things. And I want to put a question to you.
Yes.
Because you're still playing, and I'm not. I play a little pickup at Rockets, as you know, on the Rito there. If the ice freezes over, which it didn't last year, but as we were sitting having a pint at the pub there last week with Kevin Jardine and talking about going out there and how much fun I enjoyed that. And when I do get back, and I will get back in hockey, it'll be pickup. I'll never go in a league again. If somebody hacks me now, I would just lose it. So it's
been done, by the way, just so you know. I know a guy.
Do you know a guy?
I know a guy who may or may not have been.
I just couldn't handle it right now.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it right now.
Well, do you know what? Honestly.
Because every team's got some idiot out there who still thinks there's a scout. Or it's just the greatest thing that he's got to go through you or whatever. And I just couldn't be bothered.
Well, do you know what?
Anymore.
To be fair, there were guys who actually thought they were going to get another shot at making it.
Sad.
And we're trying to prove something.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, it was...
How did I figure that would happen with literally nobody sitting there watching them?
Do you know what? Like, I honestly, I don't get it.
You know, it's really a mindset. We've all look. I played for 1,000 years. You know, you're still playing. I played on my whole life. We all know the guy.
Yeah.
We all know the guy we're talking about. But the thing is, Adam Johnson, sadly, Chris, is one of countless players in the last 30 years that have lost their lives on the ice due to a skate or stick.
Well, you know what?
Or a stick.
You know, it made me think. Like, so one time, this is probably 20 years ago right now, but I still have the scar.
Yeah.
Skate cut through my hockey pants.
Yeah.
Right through, and just got underneath where the plastic, thing is. So sort of just got underneath, through, and cut me. I didn't even know I was bleeding until I came off.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the game. Like literally, there's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And I had this this cut, and you don't know that it happens, which begs the question. And I don't know if anybody's brought this up at all, but so when the kids are playing when they're young, they wear the neck guard, right?
I'm just going to ask you. That's my question to you.
Oh, that's the question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was going to ask you.
Well, if I had to just shut up and let you ask it,
no,
we got there.
It's all good. Doesn't matter. You brought it up, which is great.
Yeah.
So do you? I don't think you wear one.
No, I don't.
Would you ever now? Would you contemplate it? Would Cristin maybe suggest to you that you should?
Yeah, she suggests a lot of things that I ignore. Just, to be fair, let's just, but yeah, you know what? It is certainly a consideration. Like, you know what I would wear? I'll be honest with you. And they have them for kids, but I see. I wear one of those dry. I don't know what you call it, dry fit shirts,
okay,
or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? It's a shirt under my gear that.
Okay.
It's sweat wicking, they call it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Whatever it is. So you sweat, but it but they have them, or they had them for kids with a turtleneck /
Oh yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about.
Kind of like a Kevlar thing. I would wear one of those. I'm actually probably gonna. And this I was saying.
When your son played, my son played. They had to wear.
They had the neck guards.
Neck guards were required. You couldn't go on the ice without them.
I might actually look. That might be one of the things I do on Amazon today. Is and no advertising there for Amazon, by the way. But if Bezos, if you want to throw us some dough, we're good. But I might go on and take a look for something like that, because it really did. It kind of it hit home, and I was telling you earlier, off camera,
very freakish.
How freakish it happened and how the leg came up.
Yeah.
But I was just relating a story I was playing the other day. And me and another guy, and it's there's incidental contact, but it's not a hitting league. We're 60 years old or whatever, right? So we were both going for something. Then all of a sudden we see that we're going to collide. So we both kind of pull back and do a little bit of a, kind of a twist type thing. Well, he catches me, I catch him, and I spun around like Dorothy Hamill, as a matter of fact.
There you go.
I was doing the Hamill-Camel. But I spun around, and you don't know where you're, at that point, you kind of lose control of where some of your extremities are, right?
Hit and spun,
you know what I mean?
On the ice,
and so, in light of that, it made me work. I've actually taken this freak tragic event. It's making me think a lot more than I would have 10 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
We're
bulletproof when we're young, definitely, or younger.
Yeah.
I think the more you go along, maybe the less you feel that way. But now, that's why I was curious your thoughts on it. Well, we wanted to cover it off, and we're one little tiny piece of the
Well,
webcast hockey
yeah,
universe
but
here,
you
but
know what?
got to
But-
offer our condolences
But for the
to the Johnson
NHL,
family.
it's another opportunity to put a some sort of logo and advertise more
Yeah.
shit too, right?
Yeah, it's
so
never going to happen.
you don't think so?
No, they'll never.
Well,
Well,
I'm-
not
you
in
know-
our lifetime, but
You know what?
maybe
No,
in
you're
our
gonna.
sons.
You know what you're gonna get? You're gonna get somebody wearing one. You're gonna get somebody putting one on.
Maybe,
Okay.
maybe.
With an ad like with a Molson logo or something on it. Okay. And or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna have that on.
Probably generic.
Okay,
I don't think any player would. They'd ask their player rep first. I just don't think it would happen in the NHL at this point. It maybe, I mean.
Well, let's call
tried
Clint
one on.
Malarchuk and see what he has to say.
Yeah, and Clint's a good analogy to use, or a comparison. Thank God he's with us still. But Clint was very, very badly affected by that.
Oh,
and,
I guess.
And he suffered through tremendous mental illness post that accident, despite playing for a number of years after and continuing his career. He dealt with, and very publicly, and it's very detailed in his book.
Yeah.
And I have met him, and I have worked with him, and he's a prince of a man. But that incident still carries a lot of weight on him.
Oh.
And probably always will, obviously.
Well, it's the PTSD.
1989, he was cut by a St. Louis Blue player named Steve Tuttle. Accidental, came up under the mask.
Yeah.
And they say that had he not been in the arena, or in the end of the arena where the staff could get to him as quickly as he could, we may have had an Adam Johnson scenario here with Clint Malarchuk all those years ago. And that was a goaltender. It wasn't even a player. You think of so many others that have been caught.
Was it
cut. The
was
Montreal
it LA
Canadian,
guy?
Richard Zednik, I believe.
Yeah.
It was that got cut.
Well, who was it got cut in the face last year? LA guy.
Don't remember.
I think-
I mean, one of the worst in hockey history was Turkey Gallant. Jerry Gallant cut Borje Salming.
Oh yes.
That's
right.
229 stitches.
Yeah. That's right.
Inside and out, and I mean,
And he
want to
still
talk about
had that.
Halloween.
He had that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
No, he even when he was like
you could still, I guess, if you got,
which by the way, tragically he has passed. Not tragic. That's not tragic. So he passed away.
that's sad.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're the wrong use
ALS
of the words. And all that. But he looked good in his underwear. The Borje Salming underwear.
Yeah.
I bought some Borje Salming underwear.
Did you really?
It was good
Yeah.
underwear. It was the early. This was back before underwear used to be just like underwear, right?
Yeah.
But he was one of the first guys with that compression underwear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I never tried any.
It was great. I bought it when I was over in Sweden, actually.
You did,
When I went over there with Evan, and I was coaching, and I said, got to bring something back from Sweden. I'd eaten all the meatballs on the plane, so you see, I swallow a lot of aggression. That's
good.
John Candy line.
That's good. Yeah.
But yeah, so
You
that's
kind
what
of sounded like him there a little bit. Too.
You know what? I kind of looked like him for a while.
Well,
for a bit there, I was. He's mind you about
the diet's going great. I'd say
the diet. Yeah, it isn't. But the fact of the matter is that I can't lose weight. I try. I got to do something, but I don't know what it is. People have been telling me to take this. There's some sort of drug.
Yeah, try
Olympic or something like
try
that.
a sit up.
A sit up. Now you're just talking stupid.
I did like 130 this morning.
Well, here's the thing. It's not sit-ups aren't hard. It's just multiple sit-ups that are hard.
True. Exactly.
You know what? You'd be surprised at how many sit-ups I can and actually have done and can do.
Yeah.
And all of these things. I play up the fact that I don't exercise, but I am quite.
You've had in your past, in your life, you've been that guy.
Absolutely.
You've done it all.
I've
all the exercising.
All the exercising is there, and people are surprised. They go like, "How do you, as a big guy, move the way you do?" And but I just have always.
As soon as that dinner bell goes.
Exactly. You see, I'm like Florence Griffiths Joyner. You know what I mean? Over hurdles. By the way, this is a great chair to do that in.
I see that. That's awesome.
I felt a bit like I was floating. All right, let's let's fucking talk. Oh, sorry. I should. Why? They see that was an unwarranted swear.
Yeah, it does.
That was just anyway. Yeah. Let's talk about something
They've
else.
They've come out
because
naturally between us in the shows. They're totally organic. They drop.
Well, good. I'm glad that you've changed your attitude.
I have,
you know what
because
I mean?
You're not doing it gratuitously like I thought you were initially.
Yeah, okay.
I felt at the start you wanted to almost say it to make a point, and now you're just doing it like you and I having a conversation.
That's right. Okay, well, exactly.
Which is what this really is.
That's exactly what it is.
It's what we want it to be. That's why we're having a pint.
That's right.
No other show does, I don't think. Maybe they.
Wow, they you don't know what they're drinking. Johnny Carson used to drink vodka out of his coffee cup.
I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe it. Good on him.
You know what? Absolutely. Now listen, we're gonna move on because we got a whole bunch of things to talk about.
Let's go.
So first of all, before we do this, our extreme and most sincere condolences to the Johnson family, friends, everybody affected by Adam's tragic death. Anyway, so we'll move on. Let's try to get to a high note on this. So we're talking about ending of careers. Okay.
Yeah.
So Joe Thornton,
Jumbo Joe
Thornton. Who, by the way, in my opinion, his career ended when he left Boston. But,
I'm sorry.
No,
Au contraire. My comporting friend.
Okay, let me rephrase. How I should say it is, when he left Boston, he was dead to me. I think.
Okay, that's better. That's better said.
That's probably better said.
That's better said. He made history during that trade because in 05-06 he became the only player still in NHL history to win the Art Ross and the Hart playing for two teams in the same season.
Yeah.
So incredibly unique. He's definitely a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And first ballot. So in 3 years, expect him.
Oh yeah, no, and you know what? And here's the thing, I joke about it. I loved the guy as a player.
Yeah.
Loved him on any team that he played for. Even in his last few seasons as a, I would call him the senior statesman or Moses.
Yeah.
Okay, with the beard
going.
Sure
the beard was
like he looked like he was in the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
It would be like, you know what I mean?
Well, him and Brent Burns on San Jose were such a package with that beard, and they were such an integral part of so many international successes for Canada. I mean, the guy answered the bell for Canada every time he was asked. Former first pick overall, rookie of the year in the entire country of Canada in his first year of junior. That's impressive, man.
Oh,
before it's just a precursor of what was to come in his NHL career. But played for 4 teams, one of only 7 guys with over 1,100 assists. There's only 13 players in NHL history with more than 1,000. There's only 7 over 1,100. He's one of them.
Right.
I mean, some say, I will sort of go in that discussion, that he's as good a passing forward as there's ever been in the NHL. You can put him in with the Adam Oates.
I was just going to say that.
Ron
like
Francis.
Wayne
Gretzky, obviously.
Right.
But he's in that discussion. And I think rightfully so. And as I said, he answered the bell for Canada.
But you know what I think this is just... So I think he had... I thought Adam Oates was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But...
In fact, he probably is the best.
Okay.
Him or Wayne. How are you going to go against Wayne? He
Well,
had 1,963 assists. It's pretty hard to...
No,
he had more
with no
assists than
question.
anybody else had points. It's hard to go against Wayne.
But you know what? Here's the thing. And when I watch an Adam Oates play, and I'm using that as a generic terminology, and you watch a Gretzky play, okay, we know Gretzky is a phenomenon unto himself.
Yeah.
Right? Take him off that thing. But when you watch Adam out, what a beautiful hockey player. It's smart and everything that you had with that. So, but I'll say this. If Joe Thornton has some of that, he also has some of Cam Neely, which made him such a powerful guy on all aspects of that. And you'll note that I'm kind of using Boston as a...
Yes, I see you
as a
circling
cycle.
back there
You know
quite
what I mean?
often.
I will. I'll admit that Adam Oates did play for another team before.
Sure, sure. Well, look
You know.
at the team that knocked your Bruins out last year. Adam was a member of that. Or excuse me, Joe was a member of the Florida Panthers as well.
Right.
So yeah. I mean, not to say anything against your Bruins.
Yeah,
there,
no,
just
I know.
happened to come
I
up in
got that,
conversation. with
That's
the Bruin
it. He
fans.
just takes every opportunity. By the way, it just hurts. He digs the knife. in.
Sometimes
It's like,
you just got to bring
you know
them
what I
back
mean?
down to earth a little bit. But
oh,
they're
by
off
the way,
to a
just
great start.
listen. They are no. Hey, absolutely, and quietly too. They're
Yeah.
not. It's no one's saying. No one's going on.
Like as soon
where-
as they play a contending team, we're all going to see it's going to be interesting.
But let's just discuss if we're gonna do that. So, by the way, I don't know what you would like to say about Joe Thornton being there, Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer, first ballot, answered the bell for Canada every time. Gold medalist, World Cup gold medalist, 04, 2016. He as I said, statistically, he covered off all the ground. He was an outstanding junior, gold medal in the World Juniors as well.
Yeah.
1997. So it's everything he touched. I mean, a couple World Championships, where we sent our C team, and he was asked and he went and played in those as well.
But I have a question. I have a real hard time, unless you've got an injury. Why somebody would not go?
No, you know what? It's just I've always felt that way, but we're not in. We haven't skated a mile in those guys' shoes. They've gone through the season. So many of them are nursing injuries. We don't know.
Oh, I know, absolutely.
Maybe
but that's
they've
right.
got new children.
Absolutely.
They're different things. So I know when Lanny McDonald, I'll never forget it. The 1 year, the first or second year that he ran it, and he was exasperated because he had to ask something like 35 guys to get 20. Like as many said no as that came, and he was so upset. And they changed things internally, and I'm not sure exactly what they did, and I'm not 100% certain if this is all even true, but it's what I heard.
Yeah.
Is that they made some changes to the infrastructure to sweeten the pot a little bit.
Right.
I'm not saying necessarily financially, but just to
Yeah.
do some things to ask the guys to come over. And, you get a year like 2015 where Sid decided to go, and because Pittsburgh got beat out, and so Sid said he was going. Everybody and their brother said,
Yeah.
and as a result, we won 11-0. Like we never lost a game. We never lost a period. Like we smoked everybody. And which is what we do when our best play and have since 72. If the best Canadians at any age group, the absolute best that are available, no injuries, go play, we win.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's always been that way. It always will be that way. However, the World Championships that you're alluding to hasn't always been that way. And yet Joe still went. So kudos to him. First ballot Hall of Famer. Just wanted to acknowledge that he's retired officially. Because he hasn't played in a little bit.
But here's the thing. He wasn't still under contract though, was he? Or was he?
Not to
I don't think he.
my
I think he
knowledge.
only had a 1 year deal. The
Yeah.
last one. So
he hadn't filed his papers, so they
Right.
still were on his.
Yeah.
He was on Florida's.
On their
I don't know how reserve list or something. I'm assuming. I don't know if he's actually part of their 50 contracts. Probably not because he doesn't.
So the question is that where does Joe Thornton, who is not, you know what?
He's a shark. He's going to be a shark.
He's going to be a shark.
There's no doubt about it.
But what's he going to do? Is he going to? He's got to get in the front office.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Player development.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to stay in the game. I think he's already shown that he I think that he has an interest. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I mean, he got.
Well, listen,
finals
I
in
would like you.
2016.
I'd like you before you come here to do some more goddamn research. Don't leave me hanging with shit you don't know anything about.
I gotta pick up my stuff, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. That's it.
Yeah.
So listen, we were talking the last episode we had, the last real episode we had. Okay, we were lamenting, poor McDavid.
Yeah.
Okay?
Was it going to
how
be able
long
to
is he
play?
going to be out and all that stuff? And then
Heritage
he
Classic.
goes. He's there. He's back, and he didn't look bad.
Oh, he looked fantastic last night.
My point.
Look, he could have had 10 points last night.
Yeah.
But, so that's the 38th time that the NHL's had an outdoor game.
Okay.
38th time. First Heritage Classic that they've had in Canada in 20 years, right? Because they had that one 20 years ago in Edmonton. And I remember that because it was November 22nd, 2003. It was Yvon Cornway's birthday, so I always remember the date. And they were playing the Habs, of course.
Okay.
So I remember that.
Yeah.
But anyways, the alumni game was unbelievable because Mark Messier was still in the NHL and he sought permission to go back and play in the alumni game for the Oilers, if you remember.
Really?
Yeah. Which is only the second time that's ever happened in NHL history. Gordie Howe did the exact same thing for the Red Wings when they played against the Montreal Canadiens at the Montreal Forum in 1966. Gordie Howe still played 5 more years in the NHL and came back and played for the Red Wing alumni in that game against the Habs,
Really?
which, as I understand it, got a little fractious in the second period, and then Rocket Richard took over the game in the third period. He hadn't played for 6 years in the NHL.
Okay.
He scored 2 third-period goals, sparked the comeback. Habs came back and win. Building went nuts, and Gordie was out there playing, and he's still in the NHL.
Yeah.
Same with Mark Messier 20 years ago.
Right.
And they beat the Hab alumni 2-0. Goal scorers were Ken Linsman and Marty McSorley, and Lafleur played.
Did Linsman play in Montreal?
No.
At all?
No.
Okay, Philly, Boston, and Edmonton.
Yeah.
And I for some reason, I have this image of him at some point in a Habs jersey.
No,
But that,
Kingston Canadian. And
oh, maybe that was it. Maybe
Kingston
it was a
Canadian.
Kingston Canadian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Incident with
All
Jeff
right.
Geiger, of course, infamous. You want to talk about infamous here at Ottawa, the Civic Center. That'll go down in history. It's probably the worst, wildest, craziest night ever, and there's been many. Well, next to Mackie Green, because that ironically was also at the Ottawa Civic Center in 1969, September 21st.
I was too young to have been there.
I wasn't
And
there.
I
but,
wasn't involved. It's the first time.
Yeah. So, no, you didn't have anything to do with
I
that.
had nothing to do
I
with
just
that.
remember hearing about that one the next week
Okay.
at school at St. Leonard's. I wasn't at the rink, but I've talked to many people that were. You want to talk about gruesome incidents, that stick-swinging fight between Mackie and Green. But then Geiger and Linsman, Kenny kicked Geiger in the head with his skate. You want to talk about the whole thing with Adam Johnson. But anyway, I digress. That's 45 years ago. And Kenny went on to a great NHL career and won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
In fact, he scored the first ever Stanley Cup winning goal for the Edmonton Oilers in 1984.
Is that right?
Yeah, the Rat. I mean, he was notorious and infamous, and but
he was a good hockey player.
He was a good hockey player.
Yeah.
The whole family, actually, all the Linsmans were good players. He's by far the best, but the boys all played.
Yeah.
And met their dad one time at a gig in Kingston. Had a long chat with him, and we talked about the incident that night. It was interesting, but that's another story. But anyway,
You know, dads really like when you bring up their son's mistakes.
yeah, you know.
Let's discuss what your son did wrong.
Yeah, I didn't
You know
do.
what I
I got to tell you a funny story. 1988, Linsman's with the Bruins. This is the first year the Bruins beat the Habs in the playoffs since 1943. Okay, it'd been 45 years, 17 playoff series. They'd lost every one. The reason they did it, of course, is Michael Telvin broke Stéphane Richet's hand with a slash, knocked him out of the series.
Yeah, that was the reason.
Yeah, that's the reason. However, I was doing a ton of work in Montreal in those days, radio and TV, and Dick Irvin's Hockey Magazine.
Okay.
I was a regular. I go down to the Forum all the time. Dick got me a press pass. Habs were playing the Bruins, and so I went down by the Bruin dressing room, and I was standing there. I might have had a couple pints in me. And I saw Linsman walking out, just from here to your wall away and something. I said, "Hey, Ken!" And he looked up thinking that I must know him, so he doesn't have any idea who I am. And I said, "Hey, Jeff Geiger's out here waiting for you." He turned as white as a ghost. As white as a ghost, and he turned around and went back
And
in the
these are
dressing
the
room.
reasons why your press pass were revoked.
Yeah, but only a couple of times. Anyways, I shouldn't have said it.
Yeah.
But and he came out. Of course, he came out a few minutes later, surrounded by O'Reilly, the coach, and Neely, and some of the boys. But I mean, he is a hell of a player, and I tip my hat to him. I'm not sure how we got onto him.
I don't know.
I
Let's
can't
talk about other
remember
things.
what brought us.
We
to
got some
St.
other things
Lisbon.
to talk. Yeah.
Heritage hockey game. Finish on
Heritage
this note.
hockey game. That's
Heritage
what it was.
hockey. I watched it all last night. I love it. I love the flybys. I love the crowd. Packed house. 38th time. Funny, I watch them now and I watch them all. I'm not taking it in as a guy who's going, God, 'cause I went to the one here in Ottawa.
Yeah.
With the Sens and the Habs, and Ottawa won 4-0, and it was cold as hell.
It was cold. I was there.
Were you there too? It was cold.
Yeah.
And they looked like they got a great night there last night in Edmonton. But
because it wasn't too cold. It was cold, but it wasn't too
well,
cold.
it was like 2 above or something.
Yeah. No, I think it was minus.
Was it actually minus?
It was minus?
Okay. Well, it didn't look that bad, even in the stands. Of course, I mean, if you're drinking. But I mean, it.
Are you saying they might have been drinking there?
I think there might have been a couple of pints consumed, maybe some whiskeys, flasks. I don't know.
A couple of But
I loved it, and Connor was flying. So he skates on Saturday, and he says, "Yeah, no, I'm feeling good." He's supposed to be out 2 weeks. Like we talk about it. Yeah. Say, "Oh man, it's too bad. Heritage Classic. Connor's not going to be able to play." And boom, he's out there and he's flying like holy Lipton. Yeah. The premier scoring chances that his line had, even him himself, he could have had 6-8 points without a word of a lie.
But you know what I
but 1 assist.
Do you know what I noted that was really indicative of him actually being healthy? Was his I don't know what you call it, his strength.
Yeah.
In that pushing that left arm off.
Yeah.
Like that push off.
Yeah.
Keeping the guys at bay as he was going around. Like
yeah.
When he would track around the net, he'd keep that defenseman off, and it was like they were. Jesus, you with the sneeze.
I know. I won a couple shows with that one.
Yeah. Well, so I could see that he was in great shape. Now I have a question for you. This is a complete sidebar. With the size of Commonwealth Stadium.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know whether it was like if it's an illusion or whatever, but was that a full size NHL rink? Because it looked like a little smaller.
I know it always does. It always does in the outdoor games because of the comparison and where the camera angles are and everything else.
Yeah.
200 by 85, and they all are, and it is an amazing phenomenon to look at it. Even as you said, we were at the Ottawa game. You were there. I was there.
But I was sitting right there. Like I was right on the boards.
Oh, you were. Okay, I was way up in the stands, and man, you could see how very quickly you go. Oh my God, it can't be 200 feet long. But no, they're right to the spec, right to the inch. And it's 200 by 85, and by all accounts, everybody.
You were in the stands. I was right there. You should have called me. I would have waved.
Thanks. I was with my buddy Dave Graham and some of his friends, his girlfriend at the time, and we just had a blast. We had a blast up there. We had flasks, we had pints, and we had those hand warmers things we stuck in the gloves and everything. And I frankly, by the end of the second period, I wasn't feeling a thing.
No,
it was awesome. I wasn't driving that night, so it was. I just drilled back a dozen.
It was. I got to tell you,
awesome.
It was.
Other than the Habs didn't score.
It was
and Shea Weber got hurt.
But it was
not a good night.
It was so cold that day that in the intermission, I went back into his building to warm up because it was so cold. Now, I will tell you this, though. It was a great experience, but not as good as the Grey Cup. And I know we're coming up to the Grey Cup shortly, okay? And for all of you NFL football fans, I understand how much better the NFL is and all of that stuff and quality, all that stuff. But there's
Grey Cup's unique to Canada.
Oh, and you know what? And so and being so I was at Lansdowne for the one where it was snowed and Shania Twain came out. Who, by the way, Shania Twain, came out on like a dog sled and everything. And it was so cold. It was cold. It was snowy. And it was everything. And we're there and. It reminded me of watching the Grey Cup when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
And you'd see men and women like in big fur coats. Do you remember they'd when in the 70s when those they'd have these big fur coats on and stuff like that. And I desperately wanted one of those big fur coats at that time. But it was a great experience. It was a fabulous, and Ottawa obviously came back and won that game. It was it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But all that being said, the outdoor games, hockey, football, whatever it is, they are an experience. They are definitely an experience.
Oh, they are for sure. The Grey Cup's the Grey Cup is Canadian. I've been to many. Did the train thing back in the day in the 80s. Never went west, but did all the eastern ones and Montreal. Went as west as Toronto. But anytime I was in Toronto,
I can't.
Hamilton,
You just said something that everybody in Calgary is going, "What the." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
I went as far west as Toronto.
Far west is Toronto. Didn't take the train out west or fly out
so
west
let me
to
get
Calgary
this straight.
or
You went to the
Regina.
center of the universe.
Yes, or Montreal, which was always the best.
Oh, yeah.
And but anytime the Grey Cup and you're on the train, it was like 30 of us from Manotick that would go down. So it was or the Manotick area.
Yeah.
I was one of the younger ones going on the trips in those days. So it was great going down with the Tom McDonalds and Gordy Kettles, Gordy Angus, and Doug Surgott, Ian McCurdy. These guys were sort of, I looked up to all these guys. Well, some of them were the local police, so you
You had to, yeah.
they may have helped you out a night or two.
Yeah.
But it was the best of times, man. And then Ottawa hosted, and I was older, and I went as well a few times, and it was just great, just great. So yeah, outdoor games, outdoor experience. Great night last night. We're taping this. It was last night. You're going to see this on Wednesday, our show here. But Connor looked fantastic.
Yeah.
He only got to 1 point. I predict in his next 2 or 3 games he's going to have a 5-point game. Oh, I'm going really out on a limb here. But I think he's going to have a big game. He just looked awesome last night.
Yeah.
And they said all night, they said at the start of the game, they said pre-game, they said in the first period he would not take a draw. First draw that Draisaitl got tossed out of, Connor came in and took it. And did pretty good. So I'm thrilled. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of the guy, and I'd love nothing more than to see him race back up in a scoring lead.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, last night as we're taping this, Jack Hughes' first game didn't get a point, even though Jersey got the win.
And you think that you think that's how things are going to head now?
He's 8 points back. It's not insurmountable. I mean, that's a good week for Connor. And he could catch him. I mean, look, if Mario Lemieux came back on LaFontaine in '93, it's been the biggest comeback in hockey history in terms of scoring.
True, yeah.
Believe me, Connor can come back on Jack Hughes.
Oh, I know, without question.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of A. Hughes, Vancouver.
Yeah, man, they are. I don't know if you're catching any of their games or not.
The other night I watched. It was the late game.
Yeah.
Right? It was the late game on Saturday night, and I caught part of that before I actually, and it was not indicative of the game. It was just indicative of the time.
Yeah.
I fell asleep.
Well, it's always good if you got TV in the room and you put it on, and maybe you catch a period or two. I'll tell you right now, they're playing some exciting.
Yeah, no, I was at the pub.
Oh, great! Even better. Should have texted me.
Yeah, exactly.
Would have come down.
Yeah. I fell
Saturday
asleep
night.
at the pub.
I got to give a shout out before that.
Oh yeah, you do that right now.
For where I was.
Yeah, where you were Saturday night.
Okay, so I was at Fight for the Cure.
Fight for the Cure. Yeah.
Which is white collar boxing, and it's gone on for since 2007, I believe, in Ottawa, and it's 12 men, 6 bouts, no experience at all. They train for 7 or 8 months. It's nothing to do about the boxing. It's all about the fundraising.
Right.
For the Ottawa Cancer Regional Foundation.
Yeah.
Ottawa, yeah.
Now, is that the event where Trudeau?
Yeah.
Actually
Trudeau fought
in there.
Pat
Brazeau.
Yeah, fought and beat him.
Yeah. Yeah. That was actually, you know what?
Beat him fair and square.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? And good on him for that, I guess.
Affected Brazeau badly. There's no question about it.
It ruined his credibility. Like, I mean, if he
no, I don't think that did. But
it certainly helped, and he certainly it certainly helped Trudeau.
I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it.
And you know what? So I go back to that moment as reason we have inflation right now. if Brazeau had to beat him, and you know what I mean? Like
he had to knocked him out like everybody predicted he would. I mean, Brazeau, I think has some background or something in combat sports.
But you know what?
Certainly looked like he was much better conditioned for that type of thing. But until you stand beside Justin Trudeau, you don't realize how big a man he is.
Well, he's 6'1" or something like
he's
that.
He's a good 6'1" for sure.
And he had long arms.
Yeah.
But the other thing is he had, as you know, is very important in boxing. Probably, I mean, you can have slugging power, and that helps you in the first 30 seconds of a match.
Yeah.
But a 3-minute round feels like 20 minutes.
Well, and they were fighting 2 minutes.
Okay.
But still, it's still an eternity if you've never done it.
Oh.
If you've never done it, it's an eternity. And it was interesting. All those guys were interviewed in the ring.
Most street fights don't last more than 30 seconds.
Well, believe me, I know.
No,
I'm going to be writing an interesting story on social media this week probably about just an incredible experience that I had to catch up with a guy who fought one of my closest friends 44 years ago in a street fight. Greatest street fight I've ever seen in my life. And for 44 years, this guy has been the other guy. He's been that guy. And then this guy did that for 44 years. Then a month ago in Cars on a Tuesday night, I got to sit down with him and his wife and meet him for the first time in 44 years. Hadn't seen him since that day. And it was, if you know me at all, you know, I take this stuff so much to heart. And because that night was so unbelievable, because it was just two Titanics that met. Happenstance. The fight should never have happened. We were kids, but it did. And it was Paul Rushlaw from Cars Road, the second line, fought this guy named Stuart McKay. And I'm going to write about it, about meeting him and what that meant to me for sort of closure on all this all these years later, because it was just an insane...
Now, did you realize the guy was actually just a regular guy then after that? Like, that's one of the
well,
things...
Well, he is and he isn't. He was a hell of an athlete and a hell of a minor hockey league player. And there was two teams in the 1970s in Ottawa, hockey teams, minor hockey teams that played the Russians and beat them. And the one that gets all the credit and all the notoriety is Brian Kilrea's team.
Right.
But there's another team from South Ottawa that played and beat him, and Stuart was on it, so was my buddy, and a guy you know, Ken Logan.
Oh, yeah. Kenny was a good
Stuart
hockey player.
McKay was best friends with Kenny Logan in the 1970s.
Oh, really?
And on a warm July night in 1979, at 4 in the morning, in front of Fuller's Restaurant on Merivale Road.
Fuller's, god damn it, I was trying to think of the name of that
Fuller's
last
Restaurant.
night.
4 in the morning, Paul and Stuart came together. I'm going to write all down what happened. And I've never witnessed anything like it. You say, you're glorifying it, you're doing this, you're doing that. Patty Dominico says, come on, that was every weekend for the Blondins. No, I get that about Randy and Barry Blondin. You're missing my point, Slider. You're missing my point. The point is, this was the immovable object meeting the irresistible force. It was a moment in time that you can't script. These two guys coming together and hitting each other's shoulders, turning around, agreeing to go, and having the fight that they did and everything that came out after it. Because there was some stuff that happened after that was pretty crazy. Third parties got involved, which I had to get involved. Then the police came, and it was a pretty crazy night. But 44 years later, I meet the guy. I mean,
yeah, well,
it was, for me personally, it was, I can't even put it into words. It meant so much to me to finally get a chance to meet him. And his wife was with him, and they're just fantastic.
wow, yeah.
They're fantastic. They're so nice. They're so nice.
Rule number 1, okay, in life. Never judge anybody by the way they were when they were 16, 17 years old.
19,
whatever it is.
yeah.
Whatever it is.
20.
You know what I mean?
20.
Get 20. Okay, well, that's fucking bad. No. No, you don't judge people. People grow. People develop. People make mistakes. Young people make mistakes.
I know.
And all those. And don't judge people based on one incident or one thing that happens.
I know.
You know what I mean? You learn that eventually.
It
right?
is incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And anyway, Fight for the Cure. Dwayne Francis, I went there to support him. My buddy, I know him through Reederview Golf Club.
Okay.
And, you know, Chris, there were 6 fights that night, and only one that didn't finish. And sadly, it was Dwayne's, you know. Dwayne is in his 50s. I do not myself personally, know of another man that's in better shape than him at 50 years of age. Then he went through 8 months of training, as they all did, on how to fight, because none of these guys have any training. And this guy came out of the corner like a caged bull. And he came at his opponent. He kind of hesitated. He got there so quickly. And then they started exchanging. And Dwayne was dominating. And the bout went from the center of the ring over to the corner. And Dwayne just dug in with some body shots. And the ref jumped in right away. There were several.
So he stopped the fight.
He gave the standing 8 count.
Yeah.
Which you have to take if you see fighters in distress. Believe me. Safety is paramount in this thing. These are white-collar guys doing something that they've never done before and will never do again, more than likely.
Right.
And he did the standing 8 count, and then the ref could tell that this man was in trouble.
Yeah.
He was in trouble, and he could not continue. 40 seconds in, Chris.
Yeah.
You know, I felt so bad for both of them. And because then they got to be interviewed after, and then the guy is, you know, he has to I know his name. I'm not going to say it.
No.
But it's all there. It's easy to find. Doesn't matter. I respect him totally for what he did. The guts to go in there anyway.
Yeah.
But then they've got to say their bit about the incredible efforts that all 12 of them made to contribute to raise over $1 million on Saturday, Chris.
Yeah.
Over $1 million was raised. I don't know another event. You know how many I work.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know another event like it. There were 1,000 people there. And anyways, then Dwayne has to say his bit. And I talked to him after, you know, and you could tell he was, you know, he's going, God, geez, I'm sorry.
You feel bad.
Feels terrible.
Yeah.
That the guy was hurt. He said, I'm going to go downstairs and see him after. The docs are with him, whatever. But Dwayne has been contributing to this thing financially for years as a supporter.
Yeah.
Then he decides to get in the ring. He's one of the older guys. By the way, Daniel Alfredson's brother was on the card.
Yeah, okay.
And he fought in the heavyweight division.
Okay.
6 foot 233.
Yeah.
He won his fight. And it was I went to the press conference down in the market, and his name's Henrik, by the way.
Yeah, I played hockey with him, actually.
Okay. Like, he won a Memorial Cup in the 67s in 1999.
Yeah.
So he was on the team. Anyway, and he's the Ottawa police officer. I think he still is. And at the press conference, he was saying he was going to kick Buddy's ass. They were playing it up. Well, I'll tell you what, man, that guy came to fight. And it was, Henrik got the first round. That guy, maybe you could say on a 10-point must system, I'd give him the second round, 10-9. Henrik got the third. They gave Henrik the split decision. That was the right call.
Yeah.
But Daniel Alfredson's brother fought.
Yeah.
And Danny was there.
Yeah.
Danny was there. So the mayor of Ottawa, Mark Sutcliffe, was there. All sorts of other luminaries from the area and whatnot. But it was, my God, Dwayne Francis, unbelievable. And the amount of money, there were a couple guys, and Dwayne himself, I think is close to it, raised over $100,000 each. It's just unbelievable how much money they raise for the Cancer Foundation here in Ottawa.
My question is how much money could I raise getting punched in the head? That's what I want to know.
Lots, probably lots, but I don't know that I could step into that realm,
No.
and I don't, these
guys.
guys.
You box.
I'd love to fight.
Yeah,
but
you even train like a boxer. Like I know you work the bag all the time, and you do stuff like that. I mean, you actually have trained, and you have a very close. Or had a very close friend.
Still do.
Yeah,
okay, Spider Jones.
Yeah.
Massive. Next to my father, most influential man in my life, Chuck Spider Jones. He's in his 70s now. Lives in Toronto. I met him at Seneca College in '81. He's a former North American amateur champion. He won multiple Golden Gloves. He won the Martin Luther King tournament. He attempted to make Team Canada back in the day. Was disqualified in the semifinals for hitting after the clinch, and whether he would have made it or not, I don't know. But he very, very, very influential man and a massive cadet. He sparred with George Chuvalo.
Yeah.
When Chuvalo fought Ali the second time in '72, he had, of course, as they all do, they have multiple sparring partners.
Right.
And Spider got in the ring with him, and they used to go 6 rounds. And Spider would wear the special padding to protect the kidneys and lower body. And they would go 6 rounds, and they wanted Spider because he had a jab like Ali. He could really fire it out there.
Yeah.
And he was not quite as tall as Ali, but he was good size, 6'2", and went a good 185, 190, good shape, at 1972. So they'd go 6 rounds. Go 6 rounds with Chuvalo. And he said in the 6th round, he would just open up on him. Like, he would just hit George with everything that he had. Right? It was like basically taking it like, I'm going right now. I'm going to give it to him. And then Chuvalo would go, hey, Chuck, let's go one more round. And Spider would go, see you tomorrow, big boy. Because he knew George wanted to go one more round and rip his head off, right?
Well, this is I mean.
I love that story.
Yeah.
Love that story. But I love boxing. I've been around it all my life. Been a fan all my life. Dwayne, first of all, the fundraising, number one. Number two, I know it's not the way you wanted to win, but you got the whatever. And I just have so much respect. So much respect for that man. And when the first thing that comes to mind when you meet guys is kindness, consideration and generosity. And the first thoughts that come to your mind when you're talking about somebody, that's what I think of. When I think of that guy. And I've met his wife. I haven't met his boys. By the way, he's got his boys are great athletes as well. He's got a son playing CIAU volleyball.
Okay.
And so they're just a great athletic family. But Dwayne, he's in some kind of shape. Like, forget about the boxing stuff. The guy's just,
Yeah.
guy's just ripped.
Yeah, he's envying me, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, well, we got to move on. We're gonna. Oh, by the way, this is a great opportunity. Given you were talking about being in such great shape, stuff like that. We're gonna actually cut to our Puck Bunny segment. Talking about,
Perfect.
Yeah, Puck Bunnies, and then we'll run straight through. We'll do Puck Bunnies. Then we'll do the what do you call that?
Zamboni boy.
Zamboni boy. Yes, Zamboni boy.
Hockey. Day in hockey.
We'll do this week in hockey history.
Week in hockey.
Okay, this is our
Liam.
our Ask Liam segment, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, I really like girls. I like girls. I like girls. I like girls.
All right, and welcome to another episode of Puck Bunnies on Offside with Haas McGuire. And today we are discussing and there was quite a few of these, and I think there's even more that we don't know about. But we were discussing and you have to use sultry and seductive when you're describing this character, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, fair.
It's Catwoman. Now, there were many Catwomen out there. Okay, Eartha Kitt. Okay. There was Halle Berry.
Was she the first, probably?
I think Eartha Kitt. No.
No.
Well, in my
Lee Mayweather?
Yeah,
Or
Lee Merriweather.
Yeah.
The redhead, who I personally is my favorite.
That was a TV show in the 60s?
That was in the TV show, yeah,
Okay.
with Adam West.
Yeah.
As Batman.
And
Pow!
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Pow. Kapow.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in my opinion, there was also Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we're getting into the movies, right?
Right. Yeah. Well,
the
movies, Catwoman in all aspects, I guess.
Right.
And then there's that other girl, and I can't remember her name now. It's
Halle Berry?
No, Halle Berry. But right, the lady there at the far end. She was in. She's calling you. So she was weighing in. Her favorite was Michelle Pfeiffer. That's what it says. Shanna's favorite Michelle Pfeiffer.
That's what she was saying.
She was probably saying Michelle Pfeiffer. I like Lee Merriweather just because that was the.
Well, it's historic.
That's the one I
It's the one you grew up with.
But you know what? You can't. Halle Berry, probably the most beautiful.
Yeah.
But she didn't do a good job. Like she's an Academy Award-winning actress, but that was not one of her best roles.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, never saw the movie, but watched Batman and Robin in the 60s. It was one of the that 10 or 12 shows. I mean, it wasn't my number one favorite. That would be Rat Patrol. I love violence.
There's a theme.
I love fighting. Now there was some fights in Batman and Robin, but with the comic stuff, with the kapows and the biffs and the zowies and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was good fun. It was good fun, and they introduced Catwoman. And look, I mean, those tight black outfits, and they were sultry and they were sexy, and
and the allure, and you know what?
And the allure, yeah,
and to say this, and I we have dogs, right? But we've had cats, and you know what? I will say this: Eartha Kitt was the most cat-like of the cat women, in my opinion. Now maybe you don't because you haven't seen them as much, but
no,
I think she did a better acting job in that role. Okay, and she's like. Was a very accomplished actress for many years. I don't even know. She may have passed away now.
I have no idea.
As probably Lee Merriweather has.
Yeah.
I know Michelle Pfeiffer's still around because she calls me. She hounds me.
Yeah.
Liam.
Yeah.
She hounds me.
She's only human, but
Well, that's true.
She's a big fan of Northern Ontario.
She is.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah.
That she is. But who's your favorite? You said which one do you like?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm like you, probably with the traditional from the 60s TV show. That would just be a historic pick.
Right.
Because I think if you look at from just the imagery point of view and you don't pick Halle, is it Halle or Haley?
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry, I mean, you got her on there?
Yeah, she's there.
Yeah.
She's kind of lying down in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's a pretty strong look. Not
It
gonna
is.
lie.
She's an extremently attractive lady.
Yeah,
absolutely.
beautiful, absolutely stunning, gorgeous,
Yeah,
gorgeous, for
yeah.
sure.
And you know what? She has not a lot of people can carry off the I'm going to say the innocent that she has, the innocent look.
Yeah.
She has while being as attractive as she is, she has a purity, I think, in her look. She's one of my favorite attractive women, but as far as cat women, I'd have to say Lee Merriweather. So you're going to vote that way, or is that?
I'm going to vote with you.
You're going to vote with me?
Yeah, I'm going to vote with you. I can't. I don't have enough knowledge base of the others to say one way or the other.
I'm going to send you home with some videotapes, and you can watch. And I'm going to say VHS.
VHS?
Maybe some beta.
Some beta?
Some beta.
Some beta, Max?
Okay, you can watch some.
Can you throw in a couple of Rat Patrol episodes?
I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
And
just for the theme song, if nothing else.
You know what?
When the Jeep comes over the sand, man, they're firing the machine guns. Chaos is ensuing.
Lee Merriweather and Catwoman are our Puck Bunny of the Week. But stay tuned for Zamboni Boy.
He was a skater boy. She said, see you later, boy. He wasn't good enough for.
Hey, and welcome back to the Zamboni Boy segment of our show.
Now we're talking.
Okay, so the last show we had Ryan Reynolds as our, Zamboni Boy of the Week.
Yeah. Great choice.
And you know what? And Liam, he says
Almost
that now.
became an owner of the Senators.
That's right, but Liam was not quite. He's not quite into him, right? Okay, he wasn't as into him as I am, I guess is the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, but he did mention somebody's name, which, by the way, was on the list. Okay,
Right.
It was on the list,
Which I did not know.
He's next on the list.
Yeah.
And he's here, and that is probably not only does he have violence in the Equalizer, but he is a great actor all across the board, and the women love him.
One of the best in the world.
Denzel, you don't even have to say Washington. You just have to say Denzel.
That's all you gotta
and everybody
say.
knows who it is,
Yeah.
right?
All
It's
you
like
gotta say.
Madonna, Denzel, Cher,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Synonymous
even though they
with the
have
one
last names,
Yeah.
you don't need to do it,
Right.
right? So
Right.
Let me ask you this. So I like Denzel because he is quite versatile as a bad guy. He plays a really good bad guy.
Yeah, he does.
But he is also, and this is the best part of him, okay, and is that he's got, when he's in other characters and doing it, when that guy smiles and laughs,
Yeah.
it's totally infectious,
Yep.
right? He's got one of the best smiles, and I don't know what you call that. I believe it's je ne sais quoi.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
He's got that. I don't know what that is.
Right.
Okay. But when he smiles and gives his approval to other people on screen, you just buy right into that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's got me from opening scene to last scene in pretty much any movies he's ever made. I mean, I met Reuben Hurricane Carter, and had a chance to meet him at a tribute dinner for George Chuvalo in Toronto. And then Denzel Washington played him in that movie.
He wasn't at this dinner, though.
No, Denzel was not there. This was years before.
Okay.
But, Reuben Hurricane Carter's passed away. But Denzel did played him in the movie. I thought it was just outstanding. Obviously, Equalizers. I know the third one, I haven't seen it yet. I'm definitely going to it. They're right up my alley. That's the type of thing I enjoy.
What did you think of The American Gangster?
Loved it.
Oh,
loved it. I absolutely loved it. I love all his work. I mean, the guy, and like I said, then he can turn around and do the Pelican Brief.
That's right. It'll be like,
with Julia Roberts, and it's just those action type or those types of movies. And that one is not one that's predicated really on hardly any violence, and yet it's such a great movie.
Well, I mean, very well written.
Very well written, and two phenomenal actors,
That's right.
that are in it, that star in it, and a great supporting cast. But I mean, he's one of my favorite all time. Like, he's in my top probably 3 of all time. He's up there with the Duke. I mean, the Duke's number 1 for me. And then everybody else kind of falls in behind.
And by the Duke, you mean Duke Ellington? No, I'm just kidding. He's a real jazz fan, eh?
There's only one Duke.
There's only one Duke.
Only one Duke, and that'd be John Wayne.
Now, I'm just wondering if So are you gonna when you do yours? 'Cause
Yes.
Liam's gonna do his.
Yes.
Okay.
And
So-
he'll be first.
Okay. There.
Yeah.
Well. Okay. We will wait to see that. I want to see him. You know. We'll see how these things turn out.
Yeah.
Okay. It's now become. You know what? It's now become a throwdown.
Yeah.
With the Zamboni boy and
Hey,
Puck
look,
Bunny Girl.
you got one here that finally resonated with me, and I'm a huge fan of. And for Zamboni boy, Denzel Washington, as I understand it, he's a hockey fan.
Is he really?
That's as I understand it.
Well, you know what?
Yeah. So
all the more reason. Here's the thing. So we are in agreement. Okay. We were in agreement on Bobby Orr, by the way.
yes, that's true.
Okay, we were in agreement
Yeah,
on Bobby Orr.
massive agreement.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so
Great first choice.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
so we'll say this, and so unequivocally we both agree. Okay. Great deal of respect and admiration as a human being.
Yep.
Okay. For this week's Zamboni boy,
Yep.
Denzel.
Denzel.
Thanks, Danny.
Hello, Canada.
LaFleur coming out rather gingerly. Back to LaFleur.
The Bonzi shoots. He scores!
This week in hockey history. Hey, welcome to This Week in Hockey History. It's our Halloween edition. And
Look,
I'm wearing
it's
a
Chris.
mask. Trick or treat. It's all right.
Wow.
So it's our Halloween edition. So it's end of October, beginning of November, the
Yeah.
week of in hockey. Anything special?
Yeah. That's pretty good, man.
You like
That's
that?
pretty good. I do
This
like
is-
that.
This is a.
Give me the history on it very
This is
quickly.
a Gilles Meloche
Okay.
replica mask
Yeah.
that was used for road hockey. This is
Yeah.
where I fell off my bike and scraped my face. No, you know what?
Is this all the way from Coniston?
This is
okay.
actually from Sudbury though.
From
Yeah,
Sudbury?
yeah. It's Sudbury.
Okay.
But it wasn't. They didn't have this back when I was a kid.
No.
We didn't have that. We had that mouth guard.
Oh, yeah, I remember
that
the
plastic
external mouth guard, yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the big innovation, the safety innovation. Of
Yep,
the time.
that was it. Can't be hurt now, kids. Don't worry about a thing.
And then they came up with the cage, the giant cage that you could stick your stick right through.
Yeah, yeah.
It was
Yeah,
like, and
great
the
big
puck
holes.
would go through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You could eat your
It's,
hamburger through that.
Yeah, well, I did. But all right, this week.
Yeah. Well,
What's going
very
on?
appropriate
Very appropriate.
that you started with a mask.
That's right.
Because we're going to
Why?
talk about Jacques Plante,
Oh, Jacques Plante.
who on this day, I mean, this is the day that Jacques Plante first put on a mask.
Really?
Yeah, November 1st. Well, November 1st was the date. I mean,
November
it's not-
1st, yeah,
I'm
okay.
Sure what day we're taping this, but I mean,
What-
November
in what
1st,
year?
this week in hockey. It was 1959. Now, the interesting thing about that is they were playing in New York against the Rangers, and Jacques had been wearing the mask in practice, but head coach told Blake refused to let him wear it in the game. And Andy,
Those fucking Blake,
that's
eh?
you know what,
Like,
man.
you know, he's a Coniston
He's
guy.
a Victoria Mines.
Victoria Mines, but
yeah.
it doesn't exist anymore. It's part of Coniston. That's the problem.
So, is that true?
yes,
Okay. So, did that happen in your lifetime or before?
before my lifetime.
Before your
So
lifetime,
yeah.
okay.
So Toe Blake is considered a Conistonian.
Is your dad born up there?
No, my dad's Nova Scotian.
Nova Scotian. Okay.
Yeah.
All
No,
right.
we were part of the Great Migration to Sudbury
I
to
see.
get work from the Maritimes.
Okay.
Right. And you know what I mean. And so everybody from our town, Coniston, but all of Sudbury, everyone's from somewhere else.
Right.
Everyone's from whether it be the Maritimes or whether it be from Europe or you know what I mean, Ukrainian, Polish, Italian. It's one of the most diverse societies out there, and that's why people from Sudbury are so awesome. And I'm not blowing smoke. I
Yeah.
truly believe because we got to know so many different people and so many different cultures. Like there was no racism. Well, sure, we had a few fights with the French, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean. That was more over
didn't.
hockey. You know what I mean. They like Montreal. I like Boston. You know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Do
What
the
can
math.
you do? You know what? There was one guy who liked the Leafs, and you know what? We kicked him out.
Yeah. He's out. They've never been allowed back in Sudbury.
Exactly. So we were talking about Toe Blake
Told Blake
would not let him wear a
refused
mask.
to let Jacques Plante wear a mask. Andy Bathgate hits Jacques Plante in the face with a shot. Now, small digression, but very important to the story.
Okay.
Years later, decades later, Andy Bathgate in an interview says, I absolutely aimed right for his face in the shot because they had gotten into it behind the net previously. So when Bathgate next came down the ice, he drilled it right between his eyes and caught Plant right in the nose. So nobody knew at the time. I mean, goalies weren't wearing masks, right? So Jacques goes off and he comes back with the mask and he tells Blake, no mask, I don't play.
He was a Patrick Waugh before Patrick Waugh.
Before Patrick Waugh, there was Jacques Font on November 1st, 1959. And so Blake let him play. Now, the next game, Blake said, you're not, and Plante says, yeah, I'm wearing it. I'm wearing the mask or find yourself another goaltender. So, told Blake had Jacques Plante do eye testing with the mask on
to see if you see.
To see what his peripheral vision and, up, down, all around, everything else. He lets Jacques go without it. But he badgers him relentlessly for the rest of the season. Keep in mind, the Habs are 4-time defending Stanley Cup champs in this season, right?
Right.
This is 59-60. They're en route to winning 5 in a row. On March 8th of 1960, after relentless badgering for 4 months, Jacques Plante takes the mask off against the Detroit Red Wings and Gordie Howe and the boys, and Montreal loses 3-0. And Jacques says to Toe, that's it. So you make your decision.
Yeah.
And so he went with the mask, and of course 2 years later, we all know what happened because of his idiosyncrasies and driving Toe Blake around just totally crazy. Montreal ended up trading Jacques to New York, and he went to the Rangers in a massive trade. However, November 1st, 1959, he was the first goaltender to wear a mask on a regular basis.
Right.
Clint Benedict had put a mask on to protect a nose injury in 1930.
Okay.
Allegedly, Charlie Rayner had one on to protect an injury as well. There's documentation supporting or not supporting if that actually happened or not. But Benedict is beyond. That's 100% confirmed. Yeah. And just to finish, Chris, ironically, Jacques Plante played his first game in the NHL 7 years earlier on the exact same date, November 1st, 1952. Really? Ironically, against the New York Rangers. So it's funny how these things happen.
It all
in
comes
hockey
around.
History. Things come around.
It's like almost like a cycle.
It's like a cycle.
The circle of life.
The circle of life.
Could you sing a song from The Lion King?
No. No. I've never actually seen The Lion King.
We're back to my musical background, the musical stuff.
And you can sing, and you can play the guitar. Maybe sometime on the show you'd have the guitar, and you should play a couple of chords of something.
We'll do
I don't think there'd be anything wrong with that.
We could do something Irish or something.
Yeah, why not? Well, in March, for St. Patrick's Day, we should probably... you give me a few shots of whiskey, I'll give you a couple verses. There
might be a bottle or two at my house.
I've seen your liquor cabinet, and I have launched a bit of an assault on it one night or two. But it's very impressive, by the way, folks. Got to tell
listen, I'm telling you, folks, you think Hamas was tough on Israel. You should see them on my liquor cabinet.
Oh, my God almighty.
We're going to get, that'll be more letters?
Yeah, probably more letters. Keep them coming. Keep those cards and letters coming, kids. We've got entertainment for the whole family. Hey, we're doing a webcast, and everything that is happening from a broadcast point of view really started with Hockey Night in Canada, which also began on this date. The same
November
night
1st.
November 1st.
Oh, okay. So you know what? You bring it all around.
I bring it all around.
That was this day in hockey history. Welcome to the Ask Liam portion of our show. And we have a question here from a viewer, a short-term viewer, whatever, I don't know what, long-term, I don't even know what they say on those radio shows. But anyways, the point is they send in this question. The question is this, Liam, and it's appropriate that you're wearing the Oglethorpe, Goldie Goldthorpe
my favorite
jersey. Okay.
Baltimore Blades, by the way.
Baltimore Blades, okay. NHL, though. We're going NHL.
Yes, this
NHL.
is WHA.
Okay.
Yeah.
NHL. Who has... historically, the most penalty minutes in the NHL.
Oh, Tiger Williams.
Tiger Williams.
Yep, Tiger Williams has the most. Well, okay, so Tiger Williams has always, he's had the most since he's retired, and probably will never be beaten. Now, for years, Chris.
So hang on. He's gotten points since he retired, or he's gotten
his penalty minute totals have been increased.
have been increased.
Yeah.
So they saw
For
the
years,
footage.
if this is what the they what?
They saw the footage.
They saw the footage,
They
and they said something's wrong here. Just tack on 5 more minutes. You know, it's an interesting story, and it affected more than guys. It actually, there's a bunch of guys in the history of the NHL. Another most really notable one is Rocket Richard. So what happened, Chris, was when the NHL, and this happened about 5 years ago,
Okay.
hired a crew of research enthusiasts, young men and women, to go back over every NHL game summary and computerize them. This is why now you can go on NHL.com, click under stats, and get all of the stats, like every single game summary in the history of the NHL since 1917
In a digital format.
in a digital format.
Yeah.
It's
Not
now
a
online.
picture of it though.
No,
No.
not a picture of it.
Well, because I have.
You know, like, yeah,
you know how I have that game sheet from
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Oracle?
Yes.
You just remember Bobby Orr. Remember
Bobby
him?
Orr. I
him?
remember Bobby
Remember
Orr.
him? Oh,
Yeah.
he was awesome.
Robert Gordon Orr. He wasn't bad. He wasn't bad.
It's incidentally, I have a man crush on Bobby Orr. I've always had. You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah.
It's not in a negative way or whatever. But you know, I mean, it's Bobby Orr for crying out loud.
Geez, maybe we can get an invite down to the Gilmore Bobby Orr attorney and
You know, you wave. You know what? Here's the thing. You wave these carrots in front of me.
I know.
With opportunities. You know what I mean?
know.
Oh, maybe we'll do this. And
And
you
then
know
I
what? It's
take
a
the
lot like
chair
a
away.
parent saying, you know, maybe we'll go to Disney World someday.
Yeah.
And then going in, and then no, I'm sorry, we're not going to Disney
gotta be
World.
good.
We're going to Kempville. We're going to Kempville.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same.
It's pretty
Right?
much Disney World.
Exactly.
Well, listen, Kempville was one of the first places with a traffic circle in Ontario.
Really?
Yeah. Years ago, this like 30 years ago, they had the first traffic circle. You know when you come off
Off the 416?
The 416 wasn't even there.
Wasn't
at the
even
time.
there. That opened
But
in mid-90s.
But yeah. So, but in the late 80s, early 90s, I remember I was going to a gig there, and I'm driving along, and there's this traffic circle, and I remember getting
On
the gig,
43, just as you're heading into
that's
the
right.
village?
As you're-
Are you sure?
That's absolutely because
Yeah.
I did a gig at the Legion.
Okay.
Okay. And I was, what do you guys think you are, Paris? You know, and at the time, by the way, that was cutting edge material.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
That
it
was good. I probably brought the house down.
Oh,
there.
it did actually. It absolutely did.
Well,
And,
there were probably people in Kevlar who thought it was Paris, Ontario, or something.
Well, you know what? It was, and it was the Legion. So I actually have pickled eggs for life.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
Perfect.
Yeah.
Free Nevada tickets. Or?
that's right.
Yeah.
Now,
Get the 3 bars, baby. Get the 3 bars.
I always digress. I do this all the time. I'm sorry. You were telling us Tiger Williams' penalty minutes changed because
Yeah.
of digitization.
Yes. So approximately 5 years ago.
Okay.
So Tiger Williams, if you look under the record book, had 3,966 penalty minutes. That's what
Okay.
the number was. It was that number forever. Now, if you look, it's 3,971. So they went through all of the game summaries as they did, and as they're punching it all in for everybody and doing the cumulative totals at the end, they were able to see where there were differences, and in fact, players were credited either for extra penalty minutes,
Right.
or
Points.
in the case of Rocket Richard, he was credited with an extra assist. Now, can you imagine if it had been a goal? We talked about this already earlier in, I think it was a This Day in Hockey,
yeah.
about Rocket Richard. And can you imagine if somehow, erroneously, they had missed a goal and he actually ended up with 545? After all of these years with this benchmark being 544.
Right.
And anyway, as it turns out, Tiger Williams, excuse me,
Tiger Williams
makes me sneeze,
makes him sneeze.
now has 3,971 penalty minutes in a career because he was given an extra major that was missed, which I believe happened against the Philadelphia Flyers
Okay.
in one of the bench clearing brawls. And I think where he was credited with a double major and was only marked down for a major.
Oh, interesting.
I think is what happened, where he should have been given on top of the other misconducts that he received that night, that he should have been given also 10 minutes for fighting, not just 5. And I believe he was just given 5.
So that leads to the question: if you deck 2 guys, is it 2 fights?
Yeah, I mean, if the referee goes, "That's 5," okay, wait a minute, that one's 5. Well, that's 2 fights.
Well, there you have it. Well, listen, that's been Ask Liam. Don't forget to send us your questions at offsidewithhawes@gmail.com.
Offside with Hawes and McGuire @gmail.com.
Isn't that what I said?
And did I get it right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, I take a rip at it myself for the
Yeah.
first time.
Okay. No, I thought maybe I'd done it wrong.
No,
because I'm having a hard time with that. But.
No,
All right. Well, send us your questions. This has been Ask Liam. Okay, we're back, and I hope you enjoyed that trivia. I have some more trivia though. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's going to take us in a different direction, but. So this was told to me, and hopefully you can affirm this, is that Crosby, Malkin, and Letang have played together longer than any other trio, if you want to call it that.
Sports history.
In sports history. Now, that being said, I wouldn't call them a trio because they're not a line.
Right.
But they're 3 guys who've played on the same team for that length of time.
Remarkable.
18 years or something
18
like that?
years, yeah. I love it. I love that stat. I love that fact. Big fan of all 3 players. Maybe a little bit more so the 2 Canadian guys. But a big fan. I mean, Gino's his nickname is a hell of a player. And, consummate. Automatic Hall of Famers, all 3 of them as far as I'm concerned. And it's just an incredible statistic,
for sure.
It's just unbelievable. Jean Beliveau and Henri Richard and Ralph Backstrom were together from 58 to 71. And, you think, my God, 13 years. And this dwarfs it,
Yeah.
It dwarfs it. And it's just, and this is just transcends hockey, too. It's all sports. So, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Now,
and yet Pittsburgh sucks.
Well, you know what?
Carlson experiment isn't working out so far. Have you watched any of their games?
No.
You see him against Ottawa?
Yeah.
First of all, they outshoot the Sens 22-7 in the first period. Can't get anything by all of a sudden Korpisalo is looking like the guy they were hoping they were getting when they signed.
Well, actually, after that game, instead of calling Korpisalo, I called him Corpus Christi.
Christi,
I figured he was Christ-like in that.
He was, but conversely, Penguin goaltending was horrendous. Tristan Jarry, anything they put on him went in.
Well, so
it was horrible.
I'm going to tell you my thoughts.
They're not a good team.
No, I know. I think I think they have the talent. I think they have a decent team. Honestly, I hate to say it, I think that there's a coaching issue. I think that right now,
maybe
I don't like the way they are playing it. I don't think Carlson feels comfortable there at all.
He's second or third longest serving coach.
I don't know. I don't know that it matches with what Kyle Dubas had as his idea in his head in bringing Carlson there.
Well,
because
first of all,
you want that if you're gonna have because Carlson's not freewheeling. Right, in that he hasn't. I didn't see him. I've seen 3 games.
Yeah.
Okay, of Pittsburgh playing, and not complete ones. But I have not seen Carlson be Carlson in any of those games.
I've seen a lot of them play this year so far. I watched a lot of their games, and he's had his moments. But I would agree with you.
Yeah,
I would agree with you overall that he's not what we saw last year on a team in a division. And in a conference, in a situation, really nobody gave a flying shit.
Right, but they were all great hockey players. But
I mean, San Jose, and look, they're 1,000 times even worse this year. I mean, it's unbelievable how bad they are so far. But like I tell you all the time, every show, Chris, and I will say this, and I gotta jump on myself here just now because I just kind of you gotta give 10 games, then it's American Thanksgiving, then it's Christmas, then it's the All-Star break, and then it's trade deadline, and these are all how you break up sort of the season.
Right.
And I think that they're having a tough time adjusting to Eric right now. It's just you put a guy in as talented as he is, at the age that he is, and you're putting him with this team that's been together. Yeah, they have a couple of good young guys, but this is a veteran team.
Veteran team.
You know, even a lot of the guys like Rust and Gensel and these guys have been there a bunch of years.
Oh
too.
yeah, they've got rings there.
Yeah, like these guys go back to 2016 and 2017, and you're talking about the threesome there with the record. So, let alone and it's and Sullivan behind the bench and the coaching staff. Yeah, you're bringing Dubas; he's the new guy, but it's you know, I mean, they missed the playoffs last year, and they did it in a fashion that was absolutely unfreaking believable, losing to Chicago on home ice, essentially booted them out, and they have started very, very inauspiciously.
No, they've shit the bed.
Yeah,
honestly, but that's where I'm saying, I think there may be a change coming. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of changes coming, we
enough.
were talking last week, and I don't know if we said it on here, but we were talking about what's going to happen to DJ if the Sens don't win their next game, and then they turn around, and on Saturday night, was it Saturday night? Saturday.
Yeah,
On
Saturday
Saturday, they you want to talk about a win? Like that was a ridiculous win.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, they're getting pumped, and they come down and score 2. And they're up 2-0, and the game, you know, with no D basically. I mean, they're Ottawa.
No, but you know what? You know what I found? I don't know if you saw this, but Ottawa did something that they hadn't done for a lot of times this season. Most of the time, is they actually played defensively in their zone. They would collapse around the goal. You see, at one point there were one guy behind the goaltender and 4 other guys in front of him protecting that puck. Like they were there to make sure that puck didn't go in the net.
Well, go and get it done again then, because you beat a team that's going to miss the playoffs more than likely and are sliding out the back door. So regardless, you got to get the W.
Yeah.
And they did it on the road.
Right.
So even more important, and you did it against Sid, so it doesn't matter. You did it in a barn. You don't usually win in. They checked off all the boxes and they got the W. Corpus Christi, as he said, he was solid. I mean, 40 saves. It's a lot of rubber to give up.
Yeah.
But you know, you're playing against a team that can generate shots, and you got the W. I have to watch it on replay. Obviously, I was at Fight for the Cure, so I watched all. You know, the key games that for me, and then the rest that I watched were highlights. But even had I been there, it would have been on the converter, except for the Habs and the Sens. But good on them. They got the win. They picked up no points in the standings. But this is very quickly how this thing becomes an issue. But now you got to keep this little train that they're on going here, and we'll see what happens. Brady played great, and you know, big boys did what they had to do. Everybody contributed, and so we'll see where it goes. From here. But they had 4D. You know, the 2D that they played, Mandapolo there, whatever his name is, and Marco Polo and Clevin, they played 10 minutes each.
Yeah.
They played 10 minutes each. That's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So you can't do that. So you can do it for a game, maybe 2, but you're not going to do that for any period of time. You got Shabbat long term, 4 to 6. Brandstrom, who knows, got run by Clutterbuck. Zub, we're waiting. You know.
No, I think that's the long term
so
too.
who knows? So there's 3 guys, man, key guys. So it's going to be interesting, Chris. This is trouble. This is trouble for Ottawa. The Pinto thing. Now you've got, you know, just when you think there's no more drama in Ottawa land, now they're going to lose a draft pick because of the Dadonov situation from 18 months ago.
I'm sorry. This is news.
Because when they traded Dadonov to Vegas, they dealt him to Anaheim, which was allegedly on his no-trade list from Ottawa. But Ottawa said that he never gave them the list in time, so the trade should stand no matter where he goes. And he said no, and the NHL have now done their investigation and are saying, no, Ottawa, you screwed up. You're to blame, Pierre and staff. And so it's going to, by the time this show airs,
that's going to be the
it'll
ruling.
probably be announced. It'll be in the news. So by the time that Chris posts this,
A first rounder?
I don't think it'll be a first, but it could be a second, which is pretty
high up there.
punitive.
That's a player.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now I don't know. Maybe it'll be less. I mean, I don't know. Would it be like, what point is it if it's a 7th? So you know it's going to be probably one that's higher. Regardless, just when you think you're out of Dramaville in Ottawa,
That's
with everything, right? I mean, it's
Well, listen,
unbelievable.
and here's the thing. I just want to point out that talking about drama.
Yeah.
Trudeau's wife's banging somebody else, right?
Okay.
Just wanted to mention it. I don't mean to harp on that, but
Holy cow! I
if
didn't
there's
see
one
that
thing-
one coming.
If there's one thing I dislike more than the Toronto Maple Leafs, it's our current Prime Minister.
I don't care.
That's-
I do care. I'm not voting for him either. So I made my statement publicly right there too. I don't need to say what you said, but I'm ready for somebody else.
Yeah.
And I will say this: when we did the big event at Parliament Hill for Paul Henderson on his birthday, when the House of Commons reconvened in the brand new West Block after all the construction. Prime Minister Trudeau did us a pretty big solid, and allowed us in the gallery. And Paul was honored 4 times during the in-house session there, and there was a private party
Was that
after.
before or after the Nazi was honored?
It was before. Before. Thank God. Thank God it was before. I can't imagine what a debacle.
But here's the thing.
What a debacle.
Wow. And he'll take credit for we did this.
Well, he didn't take any credit.
He'll take
for it.
credit.
I'm the one giving him credit.
Well,
for
don't
it.
give him credit. He
Well,
doesn't
I
know
have
shit.
to. He did credit. I'm giving him credit because this was a liberal-led initiative to bring Paul in. So I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite.
Well, yeah, but
Doesn't mean I'm voting for him in the next election. I'm not.
Okay, you better not.
I'm not.
Because if you do, we go. That's it. It'll be right here. It'll be, ladies and gentlemen.
So be it.
We'll pull down the thing in this corner. That thing being a microphone.
Yes, I know exactly what you meant. You would have been so proud of me in Ireland in 2011. I actually sang at a bar called Gus O'Connor's, and the microphone came down from the
Oh, is that right?
Because I was going, well, where's the mic? And everyone screaming up in the crowd, look up, Egypt, as they say in Ireland, right? And I look up and I see this thing wobbling coming down from the sky.
And you thought you were at an NBA game.
I thought, well, what the hell's going on here? Yeah, I didn't realize what was going on. I'd pull the whole thing down in front of me like this, and then
What did you sing?
I sang a song. They would not let me leave there that night because everywhere we went on the trip, the guy, God love him, he's passed away. His name's John Lavery. He was our tour coordinator. Everywhere we went, he would pull me off the bus first. Liam, like this, and we'd get off the bus and we'd go to whatever bar, whatever golf course, wherever we were, and he'd introduce me to whoever going to be our contact person there, and he'd introduce me to this person. He would say, "This is Liam McGuire, and he's come home." It was always that, it was always like push that Irish ancestry and heritage, like just push it. And we go to Gus O'Connor's, and I'm introduced the same way to the owner. It was a woman, great lady, and she says, "Well, certainly you sing." And I said, "I certainly do not." "Well, you're singing tonight." I said, "I certainly am not." And as the whiskey flew, she convinced me to get up there, and she said, "If you were to try something, what would it be?" And I said, "Well, my late grandfather was in Kilmainham, so I would probably try the Old Triangle, which was written by Brendan Behan, and I would probably try that." And she said, "Perfect." I said, "But I don't know the words." And she said, "Oh, I'll take care of that." She printed them off in like 90 seconds and had them in my hand. He's pushing me up on the stage. I'm going, "No, you have no idea how bad I am." And then down comes this microphone. And there's no microphone. Look up. And here it comes.
I'm gonna give you a hint. If you're ever in a place where they say, "Oh, we gotta do something," okay, and you're a Canadian, and it doesn't matter where you are around the world, okay.
Yeah.
Someone says you got to do something. You want to do something Canadian. You go right. You just start off with this. The year was 1778.
I wish I was in Sherbrooke now.
Right?
You
When a remark came from the
There
king
we
to
go.
the scummiest vessel I'd ever seen. God damn them all.
I was told we'd cruise the seas for American gold. We'd fire no guns, shed no tears. Now I'm a broken man on a Halifax pier, the last of Barrett's privateers.
All right, that's the end of the show. Thanks for watching. This has been Offside with Haas McGuire. I'm Haas.
I'm McGuire. G'day.